Well, it's nice to be here, John.
Nice to have you. Are you impressed?
It's absolutely mind-blowing, my very first visit. But of course, William, you've been here many times.
Oh yes, I have. Yes, in fact, I haven't let on already that I am a Wolves fan, and the Golden Palace is the place to be, isn't it? What do you expect us to find today, John, coming in from the public?
I'm intrigued, actually. I think there'll be a lot of programmes come in, because programmes are very collectible, as you probably know. It's strange because some pre-war programmes like Aston Villa, you can get an Aston Villa pre-war programme for about £40-50. But any Wolves pre-war programme in decent condition, you're talking about £300.
So why is that then? This is all about rarity.
I think
then,
it's about print runs at the time, lower print runs. There are some of the London clubs like Spurs, Chelsea.
Spurs. When you tell people that Spurs programmes, Chelsea programmes aren't worth anything, but Wolves programmes are, it does give you a sense of...
that must bother a lot of fans, actually.
That's right.
Are they deeply offended sometimes when you give them the news?
I'm not.
It's more of a social history thing as well. The more northern you get, the more value the programmes are.
The whole world of sports memorabilia has gone ballistic, hasn't it, over the last 10 or 20 years. So for me, I would love to find something of really strong value where the owner doesn't really know it's that valuable. It's just something he's had since a kid, and I'd love to give him that good news. When you give someone a really cracking value and see that face light up, it is magic. I've got to tell you that I think this is just the perfect object for today.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
Well, we came across this through for the little family business where we used to do house clearances, and one of the members of my family knew I was a Wolves fan.
Okay.
So I was given a box of assorted memorabilia, shall we say, and at the bottom, wrapped in an old plastic bag, was this, and I thought, my God, look at this, and I don't know if this is the rain damage or prior damage to it.
Okay, so it's celebrating what exactly?
This is, in 1960, Wolves won the FA Cup, and that put them into the Cup Winners' Cup, which is, and this is a pendant that the captains would hand over to each other and shake hands in the centre of the pitch. And this was from 1960, and this was the quarter-finals. We played Austria Vienna. We beat Austria Vienna, went on to play Glasgow Rangers in the semi-finals. Unfortunately, we lost to those. I think it was 2-0.
Hey, hang on, you are a real fan, aren't you?
Well,
this is crazy. Okay, so let's go back to this little pendant here.
Yeah.
And it is a fantastic thing. I mean, it's handmade. It's almost hand embroidered, isn't it? With that little bit of almost furniture trim there. Great colours. In 1960, that would have been really vibrant. The colours
For sure, yeah.
They've toned
that would
down.
have been a bright gold.
Absolutely,
and what have you,
and a bright pink. It would have been pretty stunning.
Yeah.
And very important in 1960. A great memento and a real rarity.
Yeah.
So it's been lost in the midst of
Lost
time.
in the mist.
Here we are, really, in its home territory. This is where it belongs. With a great Wolves fan. What's it worth?
I don't know. I have no idea.
No
I
idea
have no
at all.
idea.
I reckon if you were to put that into a good auction, and it's choosing the right auction, something with a specialist department, good story, do a little bit of research, get it well photographed online. I would say your estimate would be 400 to 500.
Yeah, wow.
And it could take off.
Could go higher than that.
It could go higher, so that's not a bad little find.
No, it isn't.
In a box.
No, in a box,
Tony, thank you so much for coming in.
the programmes that have made it as well. Okay, thank you very much.
It's marvellous. Well done, you.
I love when people bring in a programme collection because that's my bread and butter. I love looking through it. I love the history, and you can even pinpoint what pen they had on the day. They had a pen for the cup final because they do the team changes, and a pencil for the normal league matches. What is this to behind them, Kevin?
Actually, this is my great uncle's.
Right.
Wolf supporter, yes. Army, yes.
Sure.
So he's travelled about, and I do believe that he's actually seen most of these matches. He was actually there.
Superb.
Which is absolutely fantastic.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Value-wise, England internationals don't tend to carry a great premium. You appreciate there was 100,000 people there, in the 1950s. One or two do have a little bit of extra value. The famous England-Hungary match of '53, because it was the first time that England lost a game on home soil. Collectible programme, and of course most of these programmes have got the tickets with them as well. So you're looking sort of £25 to £30 for this programme, compared to a normal England programme from that year, £7 or £8 or so. And with the tickets again, you can double it up, so you're looking around about the £50 mark for that.
Okay.
And then further on from that, you've got this fella here. So great uncle went to the final, did he?
He certainly did.
Okay.
He certainly did.
Here's just a little pointer. You've got the 2 programmes.
Yes.
This one is the tournament guide.
Yes.
So for all the matches, whether it was at Villa Park or Ayresome Park, you'd have had a tournament guide. And then for the actual final was the blue cover with the Jules Rimet on the front. This tournament guide's a couple of £1 in value.
Yep.
But these fellas in good condition, this is not bad at all, do command around about the £100 mark or so.
Okay, lovely.
So adding up, you're looking sort of £200, £300, £400 in value for just these programmes that were handed down.
This is one of the more modern programmes. It's from 1985-6.
Yeah.
Do you know why it's so rare, Wolves against Brentford?
Small print.
That's right, it was a small print run.
Yeah.
The crowds had dropped so dramatically in those days. I mean, we were down to the previous home game, 3,229, which is, when you think of Wolves, that's you used to get more crowds for a reserve match.
Yes, yeah.
So they only printed 800 programmes for this game, and of course it sold out, and so they became quite collectible. They don't quite fetch, Wolves against Brentford doesn't quite carry the value it once did, but you'd still get about £20 for that nowadays.
Yeah.
And then this was the souvenir that they did for the final, the 1949 FA Cup final, a big part of the club's history, because it was the time that Wolves were just about to launch into their best period, the halcyon days of the 50s, with the floodlit friendlies and the winning the championship 3 times, winning the FA Cup either side, 1949 and 1960. They were the club's greatest days. And this with Cullis, Stan Cullis was the manager. He became the youngest ever manager to win the FA Cup, and of course it was Cullis that steered the club through their greatest days. But the players were in awe of Cullis, that they feared him. He was a hard taskmaster, and what annoys me more than anything about Stan Cullis is whenever people mention great managers, Matt Busby and the likes, Shankly, they were great managers. They never ever mentioned Cullis, and I think that's wrong.
Okay.
This is the ball I scored my 250th goal with at Wolves. I don't think it's for sale.
We've got a genuine Wolves collector and fan, I hope. Is that right?
Yeah, season ticket holder.
Superb. That's what we like to see. Yes. Yeah. Now here you've got a wonderful collection of postcards, and they go right from 1908. You've got the Cup final teams, the English Cup final team. You've got several different examples of those. But one thing you pointed out to me are some training ground scenes in the 1930s. The cameraman's turned up and he's taken the player out on the pitch, put him in the kit, put a football at his foot, and just taken some snapshots.
That's right.
And what these have actually been done, they've been turned into postcards.
And they're all Poulton cards as well.
All Poultons, because Poulton, of course, they were the people that produced the programmes.
They were, yeah. And in fact, I'm an accountant. I used to do the audit of Poultons.
Did you really?
In the 70s, before they closed down.
Sure.
I never realised that they produced all this memorabilia.
Now, following on from that, I looked at this and I thought, I know most football books, and this is not a football book.
It's a
book
ledger.
It's a ledger that's been made, and the gentleman, A.C. Clarke.
Yeah.
We don't know who he is. We think he is something to do with Wolves.
I think he was an official at Wolves in the 50s.
Right.
Because a lot of the autographs, I don't think could have been had outside the ground.
No.
I think he went into the dressing room and got the autographs.
Sure. And you have listed all the teams that he's got the autographs for.
Yeah.
And there's a total of 78 teams.
Yeah.
1,063 autographs, all from the 1960s. Now, value-wise, that's why we're here today. You could say it's a really difficult thing to value because, how do you value one autograph against another autograph? Individually, football autographs, apart from the odd exception, from this kind of era, you're looking at £3 an autograph. Okay, you've got your ones like your Bobby Moore, a lovely Bobby Moore there, attracts a lot more value. That's sort of an £80 to £100 autograph. But there again, you've got some York City autographs, nothing against them. Maybe only £1 or £2 an autograph. So generally, if you work on around about £3 an autograph, you won't go far wrong. No. Okay. And so you've got 1,060 autographs. So if this was to go into an auction, I would have no hesitation to say you'd get around about the £3,000 mark for this.
All right.
So you have got a lovely item. How did you come about it, Jerry?
I bought it at auction about
Right.
20 years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
And of course,
Didn't pay very much for it.
no, and of course, football memorabilia wasn't such a big thing at the time, and we hadn't got the internet where everybody knew about these auctions going on. But to you, as an item of football memorabilia, I think it's going to back on your bookcase, isn't it?
It is.
Now, Steve, I have had a fascinating day here at Wolves. I've met some very passionate fans, and I get the distinct impression you're one of them.
Yeah, I think that's a fair description.
Have you got a big collection of football memorabilia,
Yeah, I have got a very big collection, yeah.
particularly Wolves?
Wolves and England, but mainly Wolves.
Okay.
And mainly match-worn shirts.
Right, okay, so this is your specialist area.
Yeah, that's my
correct?
specialist area, yeah.
Now, it's in pretty good order. I can tell it's from Wolves.
Yep.
What are we looking at? What kind of date?
The oldest Wolves shirt in existence that we know of is owned by the club in the museum.
Right here. It is
Right
here.
here.
I've seen it, yeah.
I've actually handled that recently for a book that we're writing. So we've had it out of the display cabinet. I've got high resolution photographs, and the stitching is identical on this one to 1908.
Hang on a minute. So you're telling me that this is a genuine 1908 or earlier?
We believe, and the top experts in the country believe, that this is 1908.
My gosh, that sends shivers up the back of my spine, because when we talk about football shirts, we often refer to pre-war shirts being very desirable and very valuable. But we're talking pre-Second World War, so 1939 to 1945. This is pre-First World War, 1914 to 18.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
a rare thing, isn't it? And in absolutely immaculate condition.
Yep.
How did you come about it?
I had a message from a chap in Australia off Facebook who'd been put in touch with me because of my collection. He owns a bric-a-brac store in Alberta. He does house clearances.
In Alberta, Canada?
In Alberta, Canada. The family had died a couple of years earlier. There were no relatives, so he was paid to clear out the house. And what he does, anything, bits and pieces, he sells in his shop.
Yeah.
He'd had this on a dummy for 2 years in the shop,
In his shop.
trying to sell it as an old ice hockey shirt.
Wow.
Nobody obviously recognised it, didn't want to know, so he did
Okay.
some research and found out that the only club in any sport that wore colours like this was Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Okay, good. He did well.
And it was then that he got put in touch with me.
Okay. What sort of price did he have on it in his junk shop?
I haven't got a clue, but when I tell you what I paid for it,
Are you going to tell me what you paid
which
for
I
it?
might tell you,
Are you going to tell us? Do we want to know how much he paid for it? We do.
well, I'll tell you that the true story, when he sent me the pictures, and you've said it, it looked in too good condition
Yeah.
to be true. So I basically sent him an email back and said, send me the shirt over, I'll take it to the experts,
All right.
I'll have it authenticated, valuation, whatever valuation is, I will offer you that. I would
Fine.
love that shirt.
Right.
And he said, can't you just make me an offer now?
He wants the money, Steve.
And I paid £300 for it.
£300?
Yeah.
Does that sound like quite a lot? It does sound like quite a lot, doesn't it? I mean, £300.
That was the most I was willing to gamble on me being wrong.
What do you think it's worth, ladies? If we were to put it into auction today, specialist sale.
If he says 280, I'm going to cry.
Come on. 250, 1200. Oh, I think we might have a sale here, Steve. Okay, so we've got 250, 1200 chaps. 400 quid? 400 quid? 5 grand. 5 grand, Steve. My gosh, has he been at the bar or something? What's going on here? I can tell you that if that was to go into auction tomorrow with a right bit of marketing, do you know who's going to be right? The gentleman at the back of the wall here, £3,000 to £5,000. Steve,
Thank you very much.
congratulations. Yeah. Now, how attractive is he now?
So you're
Eh?
the shirt collector. I thought it was fake, and what I didn't actually say on camera, after I'd paid the money into his PayPal account, and I'd done it as a gift, so non-refundable, I emailed the chap to say I'd paid, and I didn't hear anything back for 2 weeks, and I ain't going to say my feelings, but I thought I'd been conned. And when my wife came home from work on the night, about 3 weeks later, she found this envelope thrown on the floor outside the front door because it hadn't been signed for, and she only realised what it was because it was French, Quebecan writing on. And I opened it, and when I opened it, I don't laugh or show emotion very often, but I did because I knew straight away that it was real.